protect the football. Whoever lays it on the ground, not going to win this game.
Mike Holmgren's been unhappy with his special teams the last year and a half, and David Palmer's among the best kick returners in the league. So watch out for the Vikings. Going over to ABC, enjoy Chris Berman and company. Getting you.
Like a rocket burning through time and space, the NFL's best will rock this place. The Vikes meet the Pack on hallowed ground. It's a black and blue battle in Titletown. You better be ready, strap in and hold tight. There's no love lost at Lambeau tonight. Hit it! Come on and hit it! Come on and get ready! Come on, big dog! Are you ready for some football? A Monday night party! Yeah, this is Hank and I'm ready to get this big blast started! Let's get those helmets crashing, this place will ignite! All my rowdy friends are here for Monday night! This is ABC's Monday Night Blast, live from the ESPN Zone in Baltimore Center Harbor. Come on in. We're bringing the party to your living room. Tonight, a Norris Division meeting between the last two unbeatens in the NFC. The 4-0 Minnesota Vikings at the 4-0 Green Bay Packers on the not-yet-frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, and welcome to The Zone. Ahead, Frank Gifford on Vikings rookie revelation Randy Moss. It's been 3 years since somebody beat the Packers at Lambeau, 1995. And the Green Bay home winning streak, including playoffs, has now reached 29 straight. Mike Holmgren's Packers have also owned the Central Division, except for the Vikings. He's 5-7 against Dennis Green, and tonight, the Vikings slipped the Packers another curveball. Randall Cunningham, the starter, at quarterback. Now let's go out to Lambeau. Al Michaels calling the game as always. And Al, Randall's success in the playoffs last year. Last week against Carolina was business as usual for Brett Favre. 5 touchdown passes, 27 completions for 388 yards, but 3 interceptions, 2 sacks, 8 knockdowns. A little ugliness, a lot of brilliance, and a ton of heart.
Hi, I'm Brett Favre. When you step onto the field, you know you can't look back. I'm so driven and so focused on those 3 hours. When I step into the huddle, guys know that. I think I do have a lineman's mentality. I think a little bit of a linebacker in me. I'm just not afraid to play this game. I do some things that are very risky. It gets me in trouble sometimes, but it's things I prepare for. I go on in my mind, you know, I think of ways I can make this play work. It's what am I going to do to attack them? If it comes down to 4th and 1 and I have to dive for a first down, you know, I'm going to do that. I play as hard as I can because I know it doesn't last forever.
He is so much fun. Last week was the 3rd time in his career that Favre threw 5 TD passes in a game. The 2nd time he did it was last year against the Vikings at Lambeau. Now let's go back out to the maybe the frozen quack.
And Klaus, operations manager for American Foods Group Meatpacking Plant. Currently, I'm number 12,435 on the Green Bay Packers season ticket waiting list.
Considering we only took 5 names off the list last year, we kindly remind applicants that delays are possible.
I expect my tickets somewhere around year 4485 AD.
I'll definitely be retired by then.
Medically speaking, Dan is in excellent physical condition. Unfortunately, by the time his season tickets arrive, he'll be 2,535 years old.
I looked into a bunch of other options, but nothing really panned out.
At the present time, we have 33 names on the waiting list just to be ushered.
Well, what's the turnover rate on that?
I've been here 45 years, so you do the math on it.
45 times 33.
What's 45 times 33?
1,485.
Wow.
It's a long time.
I'm in for a pretty long wait. But considering there's 30,000 people in line behind me, things could be a lot worse. I'll see you at Lambeau Field, everybody.
Don't count on it, Dan.
Hey, a momentary breakthrough for Dan tonight. We were able to get him and his family 4 tickets. Okay, not on the 50-yard line, but in the stadium. Packers or Vikings? Which will join Denver as the only 5-0 team in football? We'll be back on the Lexus Halftime Show. Enjoy the game, everybody. Starting at quarterback for one of the elite teams in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers, is perhaps the best player in the NFL. Brett Favre, 3 times the league's most valuable player. He led the Packers to a world championship in Super Bowl 31. Brett Favre, touchdown! But the bid for 2 in a row was dashed in last January's loss to the Broncos. This year, the Packers have been perfect, winning all 4 games thus far.
To the end zone to Derek Mays, touchdown!
It's been a perfect start, but the big picture remains clear to Brett Favre.
It's quite an honor not only to win a Super Bowl, but to get there. Not too many players or too many teams get to go. And we went 2 years in a row. So whatever we got to do this year to get back and make sure we win it, let's do. And if we're not the best team, we're not the best team. But let's don't cheat ourselves.
Tonight, the most attractive game of this young season as Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers meet the unbeaten Minnesota Vikings. It's a matchup of the NFC's only remaining undefeated team on ABC's Monday Night Football. And welcome to Green Bay. 58 degrees and raining as we come inside Lambeau Field. The Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, a battle for first place in the NFC Central. Al Michaels with Dan Deerdorf and Boomer Esiason when last season regular season touchdown. And here we go from Lambeau Field with Preston hauling it in at the 3 behind a wedge and taken down up at the 25-yard line. Nice tackle made there by Pete Bursich. This year on a pace to throw 40 touchdowns with 10 through 4 games. In the backfield with him, you've got Raymond Harris and William Henderson. Freeman and Brooks outside, and Chimura is the tight end. Then up front, Verba, Rivera, Winters, Timmerman, and Dotson, the offensive line. And on the kickoff, Jeff Thomason, one of the Green Bay special teams players, and a backup tight end needs some attention. The Vikings, Colonnade starts with Ball, Williams, and as Dan mentioned during the pregame show, Randall moving from tackle to end and back and forth. Edwards, McDaniel, and Rudd are the linebackers, and the suspect secondary, Fuller, Hitchcock came over from New England, then Griffith and Thomas, and it's a secondary that's been burned a lot, but they've also intercepted a lot of passes this year.
It leads you to believe that they're willing to gamble and go for the pick, but I don't think that anybody on the Minnesota side of the field is happy with the way their deep coverage has been so far this year, Boomer.
Well, especially they had 2 home games which were blowouts, so they had a lot of balls thrown against them. So sometimes that skews the statistics. But the thing that Denny Green said at the top of the show was that 11 turnovers are forced by his defense. They're +7. That's why they're 4-0 wedge. And Kibusama Mays are going to hit head-to-head right here. And this is what's taking the wedge on head first. And right there, Jeff Thomason looks like he loses a little bit of consciousness, I would imagine.
Well, the good news is, Boomer, he walked off. He had his arm over the training staff, but he looked to be semi in control.
So first down, Travis Jervey is in the backfield, and the pass is caught by Antonio Freeman. So with Dorsey Levens gone, and he'll be gone probably until late November or early December, and Raymond Harris having done most of the work out of the backfield. Jervey is now healthy, had a bad hamstring last week, and we figure to see quite a bit of Travis tonight.
Jervey didn't even play, and he brings a speed and an explosiveness to the Packer running game that Raymond Harris can't. Harris brings the experience, the power, but the pizzazz belongs to Jervey.
Well, here is on 2nd and 3, Raymond Harris, a little bit of pizzazz there after the 43-yard line. And when your line blocks like that, you can look pizzazzy, can't you?
That's what that was.
And I would imagine that Raymond Harris is tired of hearing about Dorsey Levens and how they can't run the football. He certainly wants to make a statement tonight. Everybody in the NFL is watching to see a great lead block, that time by William Henderson. And that's the type of things that, the Packers got to get back to if they want to run the ball successfully.
1st and 10 at the 43-yard line. Favre stepping off to his right and hitting Harris up to the 50-yard line. Remember, Raymond Harris last year over 1,000 yards with the Bears before his season ended with a broken leg. And then it's ironic, Edgar Bennett was here, but with Levens as the ace guy, Bennett decides to sign with Chicago. That makes room for Harris to go someplace else, and Raymond winds up here.
He's been in the league 5 years, Al. Remember when he first got started with the Bears, the phrase, ultra back because Raymond Harris could do just about anything, and Dave Wanstead started calling him that.
But he couldn't stay healthy.
No.
2nd down and 2.
You could hear Brett Favre up here audibly to a pass play.
So they go to a split back formation, and the catch is made by Robert Brooks, who had back surgery this summer, and because of that, Brooks doesn't practice. He does not practice during the week, but he plays on Sundays and Mondays.
The amazing aspect of that, Al, is just that their timing is still there, even though he's not practicing. And Brett has done a great job of just throwing the ball and keeping it low down here. This is where the receivers like it.
From the 38-yard line on the opening drive of the game. Harris, and he gets stacked up just as he crosses the line of scrimmage, hit first by Dixon Edwards, the linebacker.
You know, Dan, we saw that Green Bay ran the ball right up the middle, and John Randall's at right end. And you and I have gone back and forth about this. Why is John Randall at right end as opposed to inside as a tackle? And as a player, when I was playing against John Randall and the Minnesota Vikings, I wanted him far away from me.
Well, Foz Fazio, the defensive coordinator, is giving this a whirl, putting him out at end. I'm with you. I think he's much more easily accounted for out at defensive end. You can chip him with a back. You can run away from him. I don't understand it, but he's the coach and we're not.
2nd down and 9, and this is Travis Jervey, who's the fastest guy on the team, to the 27-yard line. A flag is down. A penalty marker is down back at the 37. Our first flag of the game, and the referee tonight is Jerry Austin.
Holding. Number 52 of the offense. 10 yards. Repeat, 2nd down.
Center Frank Winters.
And when you stick John Randall out at the end,
The suit is what they did better than anything else.
So 2nd and 20, negating an 11-yard gain. Favre gets sacked, taken down by Derek Alexander, their #1 draft choice in '96 out of Florida State. Got him around the ankles and sets up a 3rd and a mile.
Boy, and that's just a good old-fashioned grinding sack. Alexander's on the inside. He just keeps driving and driving and driving against Marco Rivera, and then at the last minute, it's all field. Watch him drive. There at the top of your screen. Now watch the spin right there. He sensed that Favre was to his inside. He did a spin back in there, and Brett Favre had no shot.
3rd down and 26. That's Freeman in motion. They have to convert to the 28-yard line for a 1st down, and only to the 43 goes Derek Mays. So 4th and 15, and in comes the punting group.
this morning about the rain and the wind, and he said when you have to make a long kick, you try to drive it and make sure you kick it away from the guy that's receiving it. And if it lands on the ground and gets wet and slippery, that's exactly what he wants to get done. But in this situation, I think a pooch kick is probably what's in order here.
Landetta's punted for 14 years in this league, 3 in the USFL. I asked him today, what are you going to do when you have to get a real job? He said, God forbid. Landetta drops that one into the end zone.
And that was not doing his job very well.
When Brad Johnson was hurt, the end of the second week has guided them to 2 complete game victories. And with him in the backfield, Robert Smith, over 1,000 yards last year. Charles Evans, the blocker. Reed and Carter outside. We'll see a lot of Moss as well. Glover, the tight end. Stussy, McDaniel, Christie, Dixon, and Stringer. Very good interior 5. From the 20-yard line, Cunningham to put it up on first down, and the pass is underthrown Chris Carter's way, and there's a flag down in the secondary. 19 yards downfield, they throw a flag. Reed and Tyrone Williams were involved in that area. And it goes against Green Bay.
I would say that Chris Carter got away with one there. You see, he actually gets out here and pulls Newsom by him.
And that actually wasn't the penalty that was called.
Right.
The penalty that was called was on the far side of the field.
White, Dotson, Brown, and Holiday, the defensive line for Green Bay. Kuntz, Bernardo Harris, and Brian Williams, with Newsom, Williams, Butler, and Sharper in the secondary. Their defense this year has been terrific. And on 1st and 5, it is 1st and 10. Robert Smith gets stopped at the line of scrimmage by Brian Williams.
Ankle, 96. There was a knee again. But Al, over 5 yards a carry when this guy's healthy.
Second down and 10. I said probably the fastest guy. The only other guy would be Randy Moss. Second down and 10, and Cunningham launches one. And there is Randy Moss. There's a flag down. For the moment, it's a touchdown. But there's a penalty marker down to the 19-yard line.
And this is coming back.
I'll tell you, Mike Pryor, number 39, the safety for the Green Bay Packers, misplayed that ball. I'll tell you, they obviously caught a big break right here, but you could just see the power that Randall Cunningham still has in his arm.
And Jerry Austin's microphone didn't work right there, and one of those linemen is really happy. Let's see if we can see it.
Right here on the end.
Well, it looks like Todd Stussy, the left tackle, made a tackle. Look at that acceleration, boom.
But you could see Pryor actually had a beat on the ball and just misplayed it. Woo. He's saying thank goodness.
I am a lucky guy.
That's exactly right.
And Fritz Shermer just watching Minnesota's 75-yard would-be touchdown pass go a-wasting. And it is second down and 20 from the 15-yard line. Good protection, and Cunningham's going to go deep again. Double coverage this time, and knocked away at the last instant. Robert Tate was the intended receiver, and Leroy Butler was there along with Pat Terrell.
This is like punt, pass, and kick right here. What is going on? Randall does have a habit of throwing the ball down the middle, I will tell you that, and he gets away with it because of the athleticism of his receivers. This ball had no business going down the middle of the field like this.
Well, one thing I think this still shows that Leroy Butler, 9 years in the league at strong safety, still has his legs. He is right there, maybe a half second early, but Leroy can still motor.
You better hold on if you're a secondary player, because that ball's coming, boys.
Third down and 20 from the 15-yard line. And Randall's going to launch another one, and it is Moss who can't make the catch. Single covered by Darren Sharper. And there's another flag down up at the 38-yard line. This was a 3rd and 20, and it's going to go against the Packers.
And that'll be...
Illegal contact. Number 37 of the defense. 5 yards. Automatic first down.
5 yards, but it may as well have been 20 yards because it's an automatic first down after a 3rd and 20.
Tyrone Williams, number 37. He's working against Chris Carter. And the contact after the 5 yards. And actually, you know, Chris Carter is a type of receiver, Boomer. He'll initiate the contact every time.
He will not back down. And really, as a quarterback, you love to see that because you know that he is going to give you space.
What it looked like, though, I think the official, it looked like Williams was going to fall down, and he kind of pulled himself upright again by grabbing onto Carter.
Second such pull already on Williams 6 minutes into the game. From the 20-yard line back to the ground with Robert Smith. He takes it up to the 25-yard line. He's stopped there by the middle linebacker, Bernardo Harris.
You know, both of these quarterbacks, guys, you as a secondary player, you have to be so alert, and you cannot take your eye off of the guy that you're covering thinking that they're going to get sacked in the backfield. They both possess the arm to throw it up down the field, and there are receivers on both sides of the football that will come down with it.
2nd and 6. We took a look at the Reverend Reggie White. Remember, Reggie was thinking about retiring in the offseason. Had even called a press conference. Smith to the outside and gets tackled about 2 yards shy of the first down. Leroy Butler makes the stop. But Reggie not only has not retired, he's playing brilliantly. He was serious about it until God interceded. In fact, Santana Dotson was on his way for the retirement ceremony.
And I think a lot of people in the Packer organization were looking forward to Reggie retiring. Not because they wanted to get rid of him, but they knew that it was a struggle for him even to play at an average level. What a rejuvenation for this future Hall of Famer.
Now, this is a formation that the Packers are going to have a tough time defending. No backs in the backfield, 4 wide receivers.
And they give it to David Palmer on an end around, and the versatile one picks up a first down to the 34. So with with Minnesota, you've got Smith, you've got the first down from the 34-yard line. No scores. 7 minutes to go in the period. Pressure on Cunningham, who throws, and it's caught by Moss, and he's pushed out by Newsom. That's a gain of 7. And let's check in with second down and 3 from the 40-yard line.
It's just not that horizontal range.
No. So the screen is set up for Robert Smith. First down into Green Bay territory, and he takes it to the 45-yard line. Tackled there by Kuntz and Butler. 14-yard gain. Robert Smith coming into the game. First and 10 from the 45. And here is Smith picking up 3, and Dennis Green making sure that we knew last night that there is no quarterback controversy in your world. Pontiac, driving excitement, and your local Pontiac dealers. State Farm Insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste.
Boomer, I just don't think you can lose sight of the fact that Randall's 35 years old.
Yeah, but you're trying to win now. And if your team's going, I don't think you want to mess that up.
What he gives you, though,
it continues to play this way.
Good question. I'm sure Denny Green will be thrilled to hear about your comments. There's no quarterback controversy, but you're trying like heck to start one.
Here's Smith swinging to the outside, and it's a 3-yard pickup. He's run out of bounds by Williams.
And he does have the luxury of having both of these guys.
Second down and 7. Good-looking drive for the Vikings. Their second drive of the night. 4:05 left in the scoreless first period. And that is knocked away at the last moment. Double coverage provided. Greg DeLong, one of their tight ends, and Leroy Butler again knocking it away. 3rd and 7. And a pump fake, and then the ball is given to David Palmer. And David Palmer can only take it to the 15-yard line, where he's a little short of the first down, but short enough to have to send in the field goal unit. Gary Anderson, 250th game, hasn't missed a placement or a field goal this year. Gary with more field goals than anybody in the history of the National Football League. And this is a 33-yard attempt, and he is still perfect. Gary has spent much of his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Green Bay on this Monday night. One of these teams will be 5-0 at the end of the game, and in first place all alone atop the NFC Central. The kick is taken at the 5-yard line by Roel Preston. A pass to 20. And then he's run out of bounds up at the 32-yard line by Torian Gray. The listings for regional action. Play resumes here. This is William Henderson, the fullback, who makes the catch and takes it up to the 43-yard line, and very close to a first down. Nothing, guys, like coming to Lambeau Field on a Monday night. We'll have the Packers 3 times this year, but this will be our only visit here. But it's special. Still very special.
And Boomer, I know you felt the same way as a player. Just never, ever will I forget the first time I walked through the tunnel onto that field.
We have wind up here and we have everything, but this is really a great place to play football. I've had some very great, good memories here that ended up, in bad situations, but it really is a wonderful place to come and see a football game. All NFL fans should take a spot to come here.
It reminds players of my era, though. We have to think back to the Packers were really bad for a long time.
Sure.
They were so good and so dominant in the 60s, and then until this recent spate under Mike Holmgren, there was a long dry spell in between.
Well, you win Super Bowl I, Super Bowl II, and then you don't win another one until 31.
And a lot of things have changed since your era.
Now, don't start with that, players of my era. Now, don't start with that now.
First down from the 43-yard line, 1st and 10. A minute 45 remaining in the opening quarter. Travis Jervey in the backfield, and that's incomplete, intended for Antonio Freeman. Brett Favre, the thing about Favre is not only what he does on the field, but he would seem to have the kind of demeanor, Boomer, that this is a guy who'll never become a fat cat, who'll always love to play. He may win 5 or 6 MVP awards.
He's great. I'll tell you, he has such a personality about him. It's infectious. The way he practices, he's at the facility before everybody else at 7:30 in the morning. He's tackling dummies in practice as well.
Well, he's playing in a rivalry, as you just saw, that is unbelievably close on 2nd down, and the pass is caught in Minnesota territory by Antonio Freeman, who gets taken down by Robert Griffith at the 40-yard line.
You know, to go back to Brett Favre for a second now, he has all the intangibles that any quarterback would love to have. He has a fire and inspiration about him. He exudes leadership in the huddle. He has such a nice touch when he throws the ball. If I had to compare him, he is more of a vertical passer than he is like a shallow cross passer. He wants to throw the ball downfield. He wants to take chances, and his coach loves him to do that.
Final minute of the quarter, first down at the 40-yard line.
Lock to the jet!
He's audibling again now at the line of scrimmage.
And he's under pressure. John Randall out and throwing, and it's incomplete, intended for Antonio Freeman through the hands of Torian Gray.
So the offensive lineman let him go.
Second down and 10 at the 40-yard line. And they give it to Jervy, and he has some room through the middle, and he picks up about 9, maybe even a first down. He appears to be a little short. You know, there was a graphic we just want to bring back for 1 second, which we brought up. It's worth looking at. This is a rivalry that started a number of years ago, and a rivalry could not be as close as this one. Not only are these teams even in facing each other, there it is, with each team 500 at home, 500 on the road, but look at the yardage through the years, how close that is.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine you could do that.
Unbelievable. 24 yards separating these teams, going all the way back to the beginning of this rivalry in 60. Favre throws, there's contact in the secondary. Crowd wants a flag, don't get it.
Now, wait a minute, Boomer. You and I are backing up here a play.
Yeah, okay, what's the problem?
When John Randall got the pressure on Brett Favre, are you saying that it was a 3-step drop, so the lineman let him go?
No, he audible to a 3-step drop.
Yeah.
And the linemen know that the ball's going to get, quickly. It's going to get out of there quickly.
Yeah.
So it's all timing in their head. They're thinking that the ball's gone.
So they think they only have to pass protect for a second and a half?
That's what they'll tell their coach in the meetings tomorrow.
Boomer. You never sat in on an offensive line.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you guys always blame it on the quarterback.
Try to get back to reality as quickly as possible.
Second down and 10, final play of the quarter coming up. It's a screen. It's Jervy, and he takes it to the 22-yard line, a little short of the first down. So Green Bay marching as the quarter ends early on, and then before the start of the regular season, they made a deal through 2001. Third down and 2 now for Green Bay, marching and almost intercepted, intended for Freeman, nearly picked off by Jimmy Hitchcock.
Whoa.
Hitchcock, a guy who was picked up from New England. Minnesota opted not to re-sign Dwayne Washington, who got a big deal from Pittsburgh, and they brought in Hitchcock to play that spot.
Hitchcock had his eyes in the backfield, saw that Brett only took 3 steps, and this time Brett just launched it without actually finding out where Hitchcock was.
40-yard field goal attempt. Ryan Longwell, the ball spotted at the 30-yard line, and Longwell, in his second year out of Cal, bangs it through. And so we are even. Terrific performances against Minnesota, averaging over a sack a game. Longwell kicking off. Good deep kick, fielded in the end zone by David Palmer. And the Vikings will take over at the 20-yard line. Vikings have the ball at their own 20-yard line, being tied 3-3. Early second quarter, the battle of the unbeatens, the only 2 remaining unbeaten teams in the NFC. First and 10 from the 20-yard line. Butler comes in on the blitz, and they pick him up. They double-team him, and the pass is caught by Carter. His second catch tonight, Craig Newsom, stops him, and that's enough for a first down.
Dangerous. And Randall is throwing the ball with a real tight spiral, which is what you need to do into the wind.
From the 33 to the ground, Robert Smith, a lot of traffic there. A hard 2-yard gain up to the 35, second down and 8. In the AFC, you've got a couple of unbeaten teams, one of which we'll see next week, the Jacksonville Jaguars 4-0 against the Miami Dolphins on Monday night. The other team, of course, the Denver Broncos, with Bubby Brister. How about the fact Randall Cunningham actually leads the league in pass rating when you factor in yesterday's games, and Bubby Brister is second.
They got 2 great offensive coordinators that they're playing for, and they're showing their abilities within their systems.
Second down and 9. Cunningham throws, caught at the 40-yard line, and that's Jake Reed, who stretches for the first down. Tyrone Williams stops him, but they'll move the chains.
Al, to elaborate on your point, Bill Walsh, I think in many people's minds, was in a league all of his own when it came to running an offense. Mike Shanahan is moving into that territory with the way he is running Denver's offensive machine.
And on the subject of Bill Walsh, two of his disciples on the sidelines tonight, Mike Holmgren and Dennis Green, who coached together at San Francisco under Bill. Here's Smith and Leroy Butler, or as Mr. Butler likes to say, Leroy Butler, comes up to make the stop.
In this day and age, in order to be a successful offense, you have to have offensive coaches that are able to call plays, that understand situational defenses, and certainly you have to have a quarterback and to play to his abilities. And I think that's what the Vikings do by using Randall's strong arm and throwing the ball down the field. And certainly that's what the Packers do with Brett Favre.
2nd and 10. Early second quarter, the game tied 3-3. Randall hangs in, throws, and it is caught. Reed spinning around and avoiding the tackle and staying in bounds to score. He broke a Craig Newsome tackle, and Reed, who's been the forgotten man, a 56-yard reception for his first touchdown of the season.
Boomer, it almost looked at first like Newsome lost track of the football.
Seen screen passes, but the big play tonight, Cunningham to Reed, it's 10-3. Berger's kick fielded a yard in by Roel Preston. A pass to 20. And Roel with a big run back, trying to stay in bounds, and Roel Preston scores for the second time in a career that's only 4.5 games old.
Are you kidding me? Oh, man.
Well, I thought he was going to get nailed at the sidelines, but boy, did he get some blocks from his teammates. A beautifully executed kickoff return for Johnny Holland's units that needed some help. They've been under fire from head coach Mike Holmgren.
You talk about demoralizing. This crowd was quiet after that last touchdown pass, and now all of a sudden they're back into it again. Ooh, man.
And Longwell's kick is good. Roel Preston, for the second time this season, has run a kickoff back for a touchdown. He did it on opening day against Detroit and does it here to answer the Minnesota touchdown. 10-10.
First of all, there in the middle of the screen, advises Preston whether to come out with the ball, and then watch him go all the way up the field, get the key block right there on the kicker, Mitch Berger, come back, get another block, and a kickoff return for the Packers. That is huge.
Receivers love blocking those kickers, don't they?
Well, Schrader was the return guy until Preston and Milburn got it.
There is Palmer to the 24. Brett Favre's reaction, you'll see that coming up on the kickoff return. Roel Preston, I mentioned 4.5 games into his Green Bay career. He started with Atlanta. He was a receiver there and then went to Washington very briefly. And there is Favre exultant on the sideline. And Preston is the guy who beat out Milburn, who subsequently winds up with the Chicago Bears. But there he is, Roel Preston. And that is already 8 touchdowns on kickoff returns in the National Football League. And this is only the 5th weekend.
And Al Milburn was the guy who beat out Schrader. But yet Schrader's still a big part of it.
From the 24-yard line. That's caught by Andrew Glover. Last year, there were a total of 14 touchdowns on kickoff returns this far night on ABC. Second down and 4. George Kuntz out of the game. The linebacker for Green Bay with a hamstring pull. His return is questionable as Robert Smith picks up 2. So we're going to see a lot of Lamont Holland-Quist at linebacker tonight, 56. There is Kuntz trying to walk it off.
That first down play by the Minnesota Vikings illustrated exactly what Randall Cunningham has become. a pocket passer where he's finding his second and third receivers and just dropping the ball off and taking really what's given to him. When he was younger, he'd be running all over the place.
3rd down and 2. And that's caught by Carter. Flag is thrown. And Chris Carter, that would be, or if it holds up, his 3rd catch of the game. And it is against the Green Bay Packers.
Number 36 of the defense. Penalty is declined. Result of the play, 1st down.
The interesting thing about that last play, you're David Palmer, you're 5'8", 173 pounds. They bring you in motion across the line, and you have to block number 92, Reggie White. It was like a little chihuahua biting at his ankles.
But Reggie is...
Watch this.
I think the Reverend showed mercy there, Boomer. What a great job by Palmer of sticking his face in there.
I want some more money if I'm Palmer if I got to do that.
1st down from the 48-yard line. Randall going deep again, adjusting his Moss, and then Randy Moss squeezes his way in for the touchdown.
It is unbelievable. He just throws it up, and these guys catch the football. This is like a circus out here with these guys.
Randy Moss is the best young receiver that I have seen maybe ever. This guy, from an impact, this guy looks like Jerry Rice.
Gary Anderson bangs it through, and Moss in his career, which is
strategy by Brian Billick and Dennis Green.
Tyrone Williams has to be a little shell-shocked. That was pretty good coverage.
This is a short kick, and you've got the man who ran it back the last time, Preston, who ran it back 101. And this time he is dragged down up at the 35 by Torian Gray.
He does have him covered, but he has to find the football. And that's the key. And when you start throwing underthrown goes like this, you know, these guys have to be able to adjust. And Randy Moss and the other receivers, Jake Reed and Chris Carter, they know where the ball is.
Well, on Reed's play on the other side of the field, Newsome never saw the ball. Tyrone Williams at least saw this one coming and still couldn't do anything about it. And look at that start. Whoa.
192 yards already.
I think that's at peak rating, too, isn't it?
20 minutes into the game. And that's Raymond Harris. Now, with Randy Moss, it's the first time he's been in a game with this much exposure. He is the kid who was involved in a violent assault in high school, winds up in jail, fails a drug test. They extend jail time. Then he winds up being charged with assault against the woman who is the mother of his 2 children. So he comes with all of this baggage, which is the reason why a guy who had his college career goes all the way down to the 21st pick. 19 teams passed on him, including Cincinnati twice. Here's Favre, and the catch is made up at the 45-yard line by Robert Brooks, and that is a 1st down as he takes it into Minnesota territory.
His other baggage that was somewhat lighter was that he caught 53 touchdown passes in only 2 years at Marshall.
Right, he could have gone to Notre Dame, but they had a pass on him because of his past. He went to Florida State and redshirted, but they let him go, and he wound up at Huntington, West Virginia at Marshall.
Number 93 of the defense, 15 yards, 1st down.
That's John Randall.
The one thing you do not want to do is you don't want to aggravate Brett Favre or John Randall for that matter, but really, Brett Favre gets into games when this starts happening to him. I mean, he's been on the money so far tonight, but you know, Dan.
They called John Randall for roughing the passer there, Boomer.
That's Brett Favre, 3-time MVP. Okay, so anyway, the fact of the matter is you do not want to get him into the game physically like this, because that's when he starts flinging the ball all over the place. And you're right, we're going to see a shootout. This is unbelievable.
Do all quarterbacks have glasses as rose color as yours?
That guy, I always was nervous playing against him.
From the 34, Favre throwing into a lot of traffic, and
picked off.
Intercepted by Orlando Thomas, and Thomas takes it all the way back to the 35. So Favre throws it into a quadrangle intended for Mark Tremura, and it's Thomas who winds up with the pick.
Bumping the quarterback.
Here is Robert Smith, who picks up 8 yards. Meanwhile, Orlando Thomas is a guy who quietly, in his 3+ years in the league, now has been responsible for 24 takeaways, the most by any player since the start of the '95 season. There it is. Orlando Thomas. And they talk about the Minnesota secondary being the Achilles heel, but here they are again with yet another interception. At the 44-yard line, this is Carter. And that play slow and developing, and he just does get back to the line of scrimmage, tackled by Brian Williams. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. Miller Lite, an official. Good game. That's the makings of a real classic. 3rd down and 2 at the 43-yard line. And Cunningham's going to keep it. And Randall loses the football.
Does Holiday have that?
Well, he's number 90, and he does. Bonnie Holiday.
Randall took quite a whack that time going up. He's a little slow getting up. Well, I wonder, I think Randall saw that there was a blitz, and I'm just wondering if he didn't decide to take this quarterback sneak on his own.
A pass set.
That's why I'm wondering whether or not he just decided to do that on his own, because he had no back in the backfield.
Boomer, I think you're right. That was they looked completely out of sync.
Vaughn Booker creates the fumble. He laid the hit on. Holiday recovers. It's a wraparound draw to Travis Jervey, who takes it to the 35-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 1 with 7:07 to go and a good first half. Vikes up by a touchdown.
Most quarterbacks, after they throw an interception, they kind of have that in his back of his mind. But in this case, Brett Favre doesn't really matter. That doesn't matter to him. And he wants to come out and start making some plays. You can see right there a little nifty handoff to Travis Jervey, who was 100 miles an hour straight ahead, too.
A wraparound draw. I like that, Al. Chicanery.
Yes, sir. Trickery and deceit. 2nd down and 1. Back to Raymond Harris, who tries to pick up that yard and gets bunched up very close to a first down. Randall Cunningham, if he's warming up, it's conceivable that he was shaken up on that fumble.
He definitely got dinged. I don't ever remember seeing a quarterback get hit that hard on a quarterback sneak.
At the very end of that play, he gets flipped over and his left shoulder really went into the ground hard.
Jay Fiedler is the backup quarterback, a kid out of Dartmouth. 3rd down and 1 from the 34. And this is Henderson, and he gets wrapped up at the line of scrimmage. And a late flag. Among other things, we're told there's a thunderstorm nearby and is expected to pop in here in a few minutes. Wind picking up.
Jerry Austin is our referee here this evening.
There is no foul on the play. The formation was legal. The result of the play is 4th down.
I'm not sure what will happen when this thunderstorm gets here and there's still a light rain falling, but kudos to this Lambeau Field grounds crew. They had this field covered off, and it is holding up quite well, at least to this stage of the ballgame. The field is not coming up in chunks whatsoever.
So it's 4th down and 1, and the Packers will at least line up to go for it in the 35-yard line.
Here we're going to play. Here we don't do this again.
It's either this or a 52-yard field goal. They're going to go for it, and they don't get it. Henderson. So after a 9-yard gain on 1st down, the Viking defense rises up. Coach Fazio.
Marco Rivera, that just kills the play. So it's over.
Cunningham, despite that takedown on that last quarterback sneak, back in the game. Going to the air and a little over time. Randy Moss wide to the left. Big to Smith. Going deep. Looking for Randy again. Perfect throw. Great catch. Darren Sharper with good coverage, but what can you do?
I know what you can do. You can start looking for the football a little bit. This is 3 times now. I would imagine that the
9 yards already, 10 per wax for the Vikes.
Against a defense ranked number 1 in the league coming into the weekend. Cunningham to the end zone, and that's knocked down and nearly intercepted. And Newsom, realizing he could have had the pick, holding his helmet.
Could have and should have.
Well, you know.
Ball is a 24. Screen. Smith gets a block. Picks up the 1st down. Heading for the end zone. Touchdown, Minnesota. Jake Reed and Randall McDaniel threw the key blocks on that one.
This is just a magnificent performance. Andrew Glover, the tight end, looked like he had another good block downfield for Minnesota. Everybody's getting a piece of the Green Bay Packers here for the Vikings.
David Dixon, the guard, came down, and when he hugged him, he knocked his helmet into his teeth. Chipped 2 teeth, lost 1, but the bridge work looks pretty good right now.
Randall Cunningham is their backup quarterback, and that is what he will return to when Brad Johnson comes back. I understand your point. I don't know how you take out a guy that's that hot either.
Here's Preston from the 3-yard line. A flag is thrown, and he brings it back to the 18. That last Viking touchdown, remember, came after they had stopped Green Bay on 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, and 4th and 1. With a score 17-10, and then down the field they went 65 yards to make it 24-10.
I think it's safe to say, though, guys, after we listen to old Jerry.
We have a personal foul. We have a low block. 31 of the kicking team. 15 yards. First down.
There's a lot of quarterbacks in this league right now that would like to be where Randall Cunningham is.
Without question.
Running this show.
And all the wide receivers, the running back, they have every piece that you would want as a quarterback.
From the 32. Favre throws. That's caught by the tight end, Mark Chimura. A flag is thrown after Mark picks up a momentary first down. Kaylee Wong made the tackle. Against the Vikings. So it's a first down.
Illegal contact. Number 37 of the defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
Dan, you know a lot about construction. You can make a pretty good living, though, with granite kitchen countertops.
Yes, you can.
Oh, yeah.
Throw in a little fine Italian marble in there, and you can, yes, pretty good markup in that business. Problem is, you cut one of those babies wrong, you know, you got to haul it away and start over.
Yes, you do. From the 44. Favre throws, and nobody home. And Brett goes down.
Mr. Randall helps him back up.
4 wideouts here, 2nd and 10. A wind was whipping, raining harder. Travis Derby on a draw. Escapes what would have been a McDaniel tackle. Picks up a couple. Let's go to Leslie.
And bump into a Hall of Famer. They are plentiful.
3rd down and 7 from the 47-yard line. Favre escapes.
Oh.
But not a second time, and this time he is wrapped up by Derek Alexander.
And he got away from John Randall. Oh, baby. John can't believe that.
It's like John Randall ran right around Ross Verba. Maybe we're wrong, Dan. Maybe that's the spot where he should be.
There he is at the bottom of your screen. Gets into Verba. And
actually, it's Matt Willig.
Yes, it's Matt Willig. Verba's out of the game. 76, Matt Willig.
And now Landeta to kick. They have Palmer back, but they've got Moss back as the short man, so it behooves Landeta to really bang one, and he does. And Palmer fair catches it.
Wrong with Ross Verba.
1st and 10, Minnesota at the 11-yard line. And Robert Smith off the left side, gain of about 3.
Kenny Wolf, our producer, passes along the information that Ross Verba was on the sidelines having some equipment fixed.
Having blinkers put on.
Bad timing. There's the very fine left tackle of the Green Bay Packers, Ross Verba. He looks ready to go. Unfortunately, he wasn't in there when they needed him most.
2nd and 7 up at the 14-yard line. Vikings up by 2 touchdowns as we approach the 2-minute warning, and Cunningham throws, and that's caught by Carter. And Chris makes his 4th catch of the night. Chris Carter, remember, started his Vikes, the other Preston's kick return. And at the 2-minute warning, Minnesota, a first down as Robert Smith gets stopped at about the line of scrimmage. Half winding down. What about halftime? Let's check in with Chris Berman. First half it has been here as John Randall and the Viking defense looks on. Their offense right now. 2nd down and 9. Up at the 22-yard line. Whistle blowing. Minnesota approaching 300 yards in total offense tonight.
You know what I thought was interesting, Al, was
Prior
the
to the
fact
snap, false start, number 82 of the offense, 5 yards. It's still second down.
that after Green Bay held Minnesota on that first down play, that they didn't call timeout. Against any other team, they're probably calling timeout there to get the ball back before the end of the half.
Yeah, but the way Minnesota's going, yeah, that's the, you know.
What does that tell you?
Yeah.
What does that tell us? Let's get off the field, let's regroup, and let's see if we can get this half over with.
Well, it tells you that a team has 241 yards in a quarter. So what's that figure out? That comes out to 964 yards for the game.
I would think, however, if they hold them here, they'll probably call timeout if the clock is still running.
Starting to pour, second down and 14, and the wind is really picking up now. And Cunningham swings it, and that's caught by Reed, who breaks the tackle, and Jake gets a first down. He's up to the 36-yard line, tackled by Butler.
Obviously, if there is severe weather moving into the Green Bay area, he who has the lead certainly has the advantage. And right now the Vikings up by 2 touchdowns.
Why aren't the Vikings calling timeout right now? What are they thinking about?
They have all 3 at their disposal.
I don't know why they didn't use one right there.
Maybe because of the weather. I'm just guessing, but the way they're going, well, I mean, they're lined up as if to run the clock out.
No, this is a fake play here. He's going to snap it to the guy behind him.
Yep.
Randall's walking off, and they're going to snap it to the guy behind him.
From the 35-yard line.
What was that?
There's a little chicanery going on there, Dan.
But what?
Take a look at the quarterback comparison with Cunningham having an unbelievable half. And trying to tack on more yardage, and he can, as that goes through the hands of Chris Carter and incomplete.
Seconds.
Second and 10. Well, it's a spread formation. So maybe give it one shot to get into field goal range. Instead, they keep it on the ground. They give it to Smith. He takes it up to the 42-yard line.
They're just going to let the clock run.
They must be sad. I don't get it, but
very strange.
Playing at Lambeau Field, 2 touchdowns ahead of the Packers. That's not enough for me.
Well, I've got to think if you ask them about it after the game, it's dictated by the weather conditions. They're happy to go in up by 2 touchdowns, 24-10. A brilliant first half for the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, Minnesota will get the ball. They lead by 2 touchdowns. There's lightning in the area. The ball bounces at the 20, fielded by David Palmer, who brings it back from the 9 and swings to the outside and brings it back close to midfield. Thrown out of bounds by Tyrone Williams at the 46. Leslie, how you doing?
Oh, God, Al. At the half, Denny Green said that he's most impressed with their pass protection. He wants that to continue. Mike Holmgren told his team, we have been in tougher spots than this. He said, keep the sideline alive. And then he told them, weather is not a factor. I said, weather is not a factor? Back to you, Al.
Leslie, we've talked to accounting, and they are going to pay for your $300 haircut tomorrow. We promise.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Leslie, that you're doing that with a smile speaks volumes.
1st and 10 from the 45-yard line.
Now we've got the officials stopping play here. The ball looked like it rolled back about 1.5 yards.
You know what I think is interesting is the Green Bay Packers had to kick off, and they kicked off into the wind.
It is right now a swirling wind as it is Smith. Picks up 1 yard, maybe 2. Tackled by Darren Sharper.
And when you play in this kind of weather, as a quarterback, you have to make sure that your center knows that the ball is dry. He can request a dry football from the umpire. And they'll do everything they can to accommodate you as long as there's enough time on the play clock. And secondly, when you're a quarterback, you have to get more of your hand on that football to make sure that it comes out right.
Well, it's partially dry, but it gets wet in a hurry.
Second down and 9. From the 48 to stay on the ground with Robert Smith, who nudges his way to the 50-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
Well, this is a situation now where Green Bay needs their #1 defense in the league against the rush to take over. They just can't allow the Vikings to grind anything out on the ground and chew up the clock. They have got to force Randall Cunningham to put the ball in the air to sustain drives. It's time to earn that ranking. And 66-year-old Fritz Shermer, I'll guarantee you he made a bucket full of adjustments at halftime.
Fritz feels like he's about 96 right now. 3rd down and 6.
And here they come.
From the 50-yard line. Everybody coming. And Randall gets it away and finds a wide open Chris Carter. And a stutter step nets him a huge gain to the 15-yard line. Run out there by Darren Sharp in the line of scrimmage. Cunningham has thrown for 314 yards. And this is Leroy Horde. You know, normally we pointed it out for years that when a quarterback throws for 300 yards, more often than not, they lose the game. But here's a case of a guy throwing for 314 yards, 33 minutes into a game. And his team leading and trying to go up by 3 touchdowns.
And what's even more impressive is that he's doing it in this weather.
Yes, it is.
You can't feel it at home, but the wind is blowing, it's swirling, the rain is coming down, and it's noisy on top of it all.
2nd down and 4. Here's Smith. And he takes it to the 6, and that should be a first down. Randall Cunningham tonight is averaging 15.7 yards per pass attempt. Now 7 is real good. 8 is almost Hall of Fame.
That's usually the way that thing happens.
Now it's 1st and goal. Mike Pryor is in there in place of Butler, and Cunningham throws, and Chris Carter was the intended receiver, and he was covered by the linebacker, Brian.
Not one here at Lambeau.
Right.
What a monstrous achievement this would be for the Vikings.
Not since Green's first year, 92. 2nd down and goal from the 7, and a little miscommunication.
Really tackle.
Same with us and the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, we looked it up. Green won here in 92, and then he won at County Stadium in 93.
Okay.
But since then, he hasn't won. 3rd down and goal. Cunningham guns it, and nobody is there. Intended for Andrew Glover, the tight end. It was on the ground. 4th down.
Well, talk about serving notice if the Vikings
have your field goal. And that is his 2nd of the night. 11.
Chris Carter on Jake Reed and Randy Moss.
Mitch Berger to kick off for Minnesota. And this is Roel Preston, who's already run one back from 101, and this from a yard deep in the end zone. And this time he runs it back to the 21-yard line. So here comes Randall live, and now we'll look at Randall on tape. Some highlights from the first half. As always, active, whether he's an under tackle or defensive end, making his presence felt. And in fact, even when he's on the sideline.
Oh, I love life. Remember, there were actually people who speculated that when Henry Thomas, the other fine defensive tackle of the Vikings, moved on to Detroit, that it was going to have a negative impact on John Randall's career. And boy, that's sure proved to be wrong.
This is Raymond Harris as Green Bay tries to reestablish some semblance of a ground game with Verba out and Matt Willig in, and it was behind Willig's block that time that Harris is able to spring free for a first down.
You know, there are a lot of defensive linemen that made a lot of money this offseason, and he was the lead one. As you can see right there, that looks like he has a little bit of a cramp.
First down and 10 for Green Bay at the 35-yard line. And the catch is made by Mark Chmura for a gain of 5. We talked about the Vikings' second quarter. First team in the 90s to score 3 touchdowns in a quarter, either here or Milwaukee. 265, the yardage, most by a team in one quarter since 91, and more than the Packers had allowed, 34 more than in a given game this season on average, and a halftime lead of 14 or more points, something that hasn't happened in a long time in Packer land. And this is Raymond Harris picking up a couple. It'll be 3rd down and about 2.
By the way, that injury update on left tackle Ross Verba, he has a bruised shin, and we've been told by the Packer people that his return is questionable.
This is the part of Brett Favre's game. He's pantomiming out there. He's interesting. I don't know necessarily that does anything, but he certainly is an interesting guy to watch. I mean, he is does some things.
He really sold that.
Third down and 3 as Travis Jervey picks up the first down and gets ridden out of bounds, but they'll move the chain.
Dawning on them that this is important.
First down, and this is Jervey swinging to the outside, gets into Minnesota territory, and takes it to the 45 for a pickup of 6. Tackled there by Pete Bursic.
I mean, in weather like this, fatigue is not a factor. You're not going to get winded. You're not going to get overheated. Get in the huddle, get out of the huddle, and run a play.
And down by 17, a very big series here for Green Bay.
Shimura, a good pin block at the point attack. A nice block by Adam Timmerman. Henderson leads upfield. Just good, solid run blocking at the corner.
Second down and 4. From the 45 to the ground they stay, and Jervey. So here's a team with no ground game to speak of, but going to the ground, down by 17 to try to get back in it, so far successfully.
They have to pick up the pace, and that's what they're doing. And what this will do, this will help with the play-action passes as well. And when we get down into the red zone, we'll see Mike Holmgren do that. I mean, he will work off the play action, and especially if Jervey is running like this and as effectively as he has been the last couple plays.
Well, I'm sure in that offensive huddle, they're looking at one another in disbelief that they have yet to score a touchdown. Keep in mind that touchdown was on a kickoff return by Preston. Offensively, they got a field goal.
Here's an end around. This is Antonio Freeman inside the 30, and Freeman takes it to the 29-yard line for a gain of 9.
It's amazing what a running game can do for you. Just in a small series like this, you can start running all kinds of plays off of things.
This looks like the way the Packers started this game. You know, their first drive of the game, they marched all the way down the field. They had a penalty that set them back. Then they kind of fiddled, it around a little bit, and then didn't get much out of it. They have got to finish a drive.
Freeman actually got 10, and that's enough for the first down to the 28-yard line, and they give it to Raymond Harris, and he bursts through the middle.
Ball's out.
22 loses the football, but Green Bay recovers it. Harris, a guy who hadn't fumbled in Chicago, but he's been putting it on the ground here in Green Bay the last 3 games. And Matt Willig is the man who recovers it.
Harris had fumbled the ball a couple times prior to tonight's game, and that wins him a trip over to the doghouse. When it came out cleanly, that hit by Eddie McDaniel, the middle linebacker, put a hand right on the ball.
Second down 5. In comes Jervey, and Travis takes it to the 20-yard line. It'll be third down and 2 with 6 minutes, 18 seconds left in the third. Minnesota leading 27-10.
And what has gotten Jervey in Holmgren's doghouse before? Travis Jervey has been known to put the ball on the ground.
Third down and 2. Big play for Green Bay here. And it's Favre looking to throw. Going to the end zone and picked off because the ball floated. He had Freeman open, but the ball floated on him, and Robert Griffith with the pickoff.
When Brett Favre released that football, at least from here, Boomer, I thought that was a touchdown.
We talked about it earlier. When you want to throw the ball into the wind, you gotta drill it. You gotta throw it out there. You can't let it hang. That ball hung a little bit on Brett, and you can see the wind take it. Look at this thing. The nose is coming up, and it's actually like a knuckleball. You have to throw that ball into the wind, and you gotta make it spiral if you can. Certainly, Brett is very upset. You could see he's an emotional football player.
In a big way. Instead, Minnesota from the 20-yard line. And Robert Smith. The anomaly in this game is that coming into the game, so much was made about Favre picking apart the Vikings secondary.
Yep.
And the Vikings secondary has been porous. But still, 2 picks tonight. Minnesota threw it all with 10 interceptions, and the Vikings actually lead the league in interceptions.
Thought going in was that the Viking corners don't have the ability to run deep with the Packers receiver.
It looks like it's the other way around tonight, though.
Sure does.
Second and 10. Daring him to throw, and he does. And the catch is made there by Jake Reed. 3 yards shy of the first down, 3rd and 3. Boy Butler is back in the game for Green Bay. It's 3rd and 2. Minnesota at the 28. 4.5 minutes to go in the third period. Flags down all over the joint. It was Stussy moving.
Ball start number 73, 5 yards. It's still third.
The worst stance ever of anybody in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Worst stance, best results.
His stance is really awful. But man, can he play.
3rd down and 7. And Cunningham slings it into the arms of Carter up at the 32 and a first down.
When you look at this Vikings team, guys, I mean, you see McDaniel, you see Carter.
Harris comes on a blitz and doesn't even gain a half a yard.
Out of the ground, Robert Smith for a couple. Tackled by Santana Dotson.
You know, I really applaud Red McCombs for his vision in not making Dennis Green go through this season in the final year of his contract, because I know that he has some detractors, of which I am not one. This man has a great eye for personnel. This guy gets his players to play for him with tremendous intensity, and he is an outstanding football coach.
And all he does is win.
Yeah.
2nd down and 8. Cunningham. Here we go. Going deep from Moss. A little too far, though. Moss looking one way, looking inside, had to look back outside over the other shoulder and just off his fingertips.
Sooner or later, somebody's got to say, hey, you know, maybe we better be off the field, you know, off 25 yards. I mean, this is getting to the point where it's ridiculous now.
Well, again, it's Tyrone Williams who gets abused a little bit by Randy Moss. Should he have laid out for this, Boomer? Do you gain anything by laying out?
I don't necessarily know that you do. I don't think that he realized how much the wind was pushing the ball. And I saw Randall's reaction after, Randall Cunningham, and Randall thought that he should have had him. So he knew that he overthrew him a little bit.
Even though it's an incompletion, though, that destroys a corner's confidence.
Absolutely.
3rd down and 8.
Do it again.
Only a 3-man rush, no pressure, and the pass is caught by Carter for a first down at the 48-yard line. So the Vikings
starting to look a little bit like they looked in the second half of the Super Bowl against Denver. Sluggish.
Here's Robert Smith. Tackled there by Vaughn Booker. Well, things are going to be pretty giddy for the Minnesota Vikings if this keeps up. They have an off week. And then the Vikings play the Washington Redskins, the at the moment winless Redskins, at home. Then at Detroit, at Tampa Bay. And when you look at the second half of the season for Minnesota, their schedule is a lot softer than the first half. So this team has a full head of steam going, and who knows where they're going to wind up.
We still have that thing alive. No dome team has ever gone to a Super Bowl.
That's right. 2nd down and 9 from the 49-yard line. Cunningham throws, and coming back is Jake Reed. And he did not make the catch.
Then it really gets down to crunch time.
3rd down and 9, and whistles before the snap. McKenzie, was he induced is the question. Jerry
Ball
Washington
starts,
says yes.
number 82 of the offense, 5 yards. It's still 3rd down.
Well, they don't care. They'll just throw it deep down the field. It doesn't matter.
They have got to get somebody, though, in a green and gold uniform to make a play right now up front. Somebody's got to disrupt things. The way John Randall disrupts things when he's on the line for Minnesota. Somebody has got to get in Randall's face, sack him, knock him down, force a bad pass. Who's going to come up with a big play for the Packers?
Only 3 linemen in a down stance. And Randall's going to sling it down for Randy Moss, who makes the catch and takes it to the 10-yard line.
I guess the answer is nobody.
Really what happens here is that you have 2 deep safeties, and Pryor has got to make that play. He's got to get on the sideline. They cannot allow Randy Moss to go floating down the sideline without anybody near him.
Well, what a throw by Randall Cunningham, too, with the wind, Boomer, flipping all around here. This thing's got some velocity on it.
And right here, Williams actually loses track of where Randy Moss goes again. Now, you can see Williams looking for Pryor. Where's the help over the top? And you know something, that Randall was rolling to the sideline there.
Square up and throw.
1st and goal from the 10, Robert Smith. Charles Evans is in the game. Charles Evans with the carry to the 8. As the third quarter winds down, Evans normally a blocking back. It's a rare carry, and Mike Holmgren very concerned. 15 minutes to play. Minnesota leading by a score of 27-10. And so far, so good. He keeps his head on straight. What a career ahead of that guy. And this is Leroy Horde taking it to the 2, where it'll be 3rd down and goal. So the Vikings up already by 17, knocking on the door and doing something that almost no team has done here in years. Total domination.
460 total yards.
More than doubling up the Packers at Lambeau Field. Take a picture of that.
A pace of more than 600 yards.
Now you pick your choice. Do you want to throw it up to Carter, or do you want to throw it up to Moss?
3rd down and goal. To keep it on the ground, to give it to Horde. And Leroy falls forward, but not far enough. So it's 4th down and goal.
Well, they went to the beef. You know, you got 700 pounds on the right side of the Vikings offensive line behind David Dixon and Corey Stringer. You'd think that if you could pound it up anywhere, that would be the place to do it, especially with a powerful guy like Horde. But good job by Green Bay of stuffing this thing.
They're going to kick the field goal, which I find to be a very curious call, inasmuch as Green Bay is still going to have to score 3 times, even down by 17. On a worst-case basis, the Packers would take the ball inside the 1, and 3 scores will still get you back into the game even after a field goal. So here's Anderson to make a 17-point lead, 20 points. I'm not sure I see a tremendous amount of benefit.
Somewhat manageable. We'll wait and see.
Mitch Berger to kick off, and Roel Preston back to receive. Preston's already run one back, 101 yards for a touchdown. This one from the 2-yard line. Good tackle made up at the 19-yard line by Robert Tate, the wide receiver. Set his sights on him, knocked him down inside the 50-yard line. 1st down as Brett Favre retreats, set up the screen, and it's a bad-looking screen, and the ball is caught by Jervy, but for a 3-yard loss. And let's get an update from Leslie Visser. Les?
Al, the fans are wet and the players are wet, but the equipment is dry. It's kept in these ice shanties. That's what you go ice fishing in, which I have tried one time. It's also where the video still photographers are. They're in there taping the formation, so that's one guy who's dry. Al?
Good idea.
Who did you go ice fishing with, Leslie?
I went during the Super Bowl. I went on the Madden Cruiser, as a matter of fact. Didn't catch
terrific.
Oh, no.
2nd down and 13. That's a $500 fine, Leslie. Carr throwing deep, and it is Brooks trying to make the catch, and it is picked off. Intercepted by Griffith. The 3rd Minnesota pick tonight. And 2nd for Griffith.
Well, some picks come right to you. Some interceptions you really have to earn. That was a tremendous effort by Robert Griffith.
11 picks, collectively leading the league. Griffith now with 5 interceptions. Ty Law had led individually coming into the game. The New England corner with 4, and Griffith has 2 tonight. And now Robert Smith will chew up some yardage and chew up some of the clock with it. A gain of 8. Mike Holmgren. And it will be an interesting off week here in Green Bay.
I think, knowing Mike well enough, that is not a look of concern. That is a look of anger. Mike Holmgren is a volatile, emotional coach, and when he feels that his team does not respond to the way he has treated them or prepared them, he's quick to boil over. And I think he's moving past the old 212 Fahrenheit point.
Yep. And that rain will not extinguish the flame one iota right now. 2nd and 1, and here's a 1st down for Robert Smith. Takes the ball to the 44. Mike Holmgren here at home. He's coached 50 games in this ballpark, and all he's done is won 44 of them. Best record at home for a head coach in NFL history. Bill Cowher in Three Rivers, 42-8. John Madden 3rd, Guy Chamberlain 4th, George Seifert now at CBS is 5th.
Where did Guy Chamberlain go?
Well, Guy Chamberlain was actually, he coached in Canton for a while. 1st and 10 at the 44. He was one coach who couldn't go into television because there was no television. Here's Robert Smith. I'll tell you about Guy Chamberlain shortly, but first, some commerce. Monday Night Football being brought to you by Bud Light. With a
brand of receiving that we are seeing tonight.
Out of a baby.
It's
out of an NFL baby.
Anderson for the point after. Randy Moss and the Vikings in a rout.
A lot of standing water here.
We'll do anything to promote next week's game. Miami at Jacksonville. Berger kicking. Fielded by Preston. And Roel brings it back out to the 37-yard line. Reminder Thursday. You look at the Vikings. You've got Randall Cunningham, Randy Moss, John Randall, Randall McDaniel. What is it about Randalls in Minnesota? Randy's.
Well, give Dennis Green a lot of credit. You alluded to it earlier, Dan, that he was a good judge of talent. He knows how to get guys motivated. He is a winner. I mean, he has won. He's been in the playoffs. I mean, I know it's frustrating that you have to go through Green Bay and Detroit and Tampa Bay all have good football teams or had good football teams in the Central, and you could tell that Dennis Green really knows this business.
Well, you can see right there that, and I agree with you, Boomer, that hit sends Raymond Harris to the Green Bay sideline. Dixon Edwards, that was a crunching tackle, catching Harris after the spin.
2nd down and 6. Favre. And that's incomplete at the 30-yard line, intended for Freeman. I would think about calling them the Randy Vikings, except, Randy means having a coarse manner, lustful or lecherous.
As you should know.
Yes. We know a few Randy people. And we'll leave it at there.
We will.
Maybe we won't.
The one thing that we probably should talk about is, where does this leave the Green Bay Packers? It's a long season.
It needs them wanting Dorsey Levens back really badly.
It also gives them a wake-up call, too. I mean, 4-0 does not mean you're going to win the Super Bowl. And every team needs to have a little bit of a wake-up call, no matter who they are.
3rd down and 6, and now it's 4th down. Let's get an update from Leslie.
Al, remember last week Bryce Hunter was knocked out of the game against Detroit, the wide receiver for Tampa Bay. Well, the news is all good about Bryce. He was knocked out for 4 minutes, but he flew home with the team. He went to meetings all week long. He was kept out of the Giant game as a precaution, but he will be back after the bye week to play against Carolina. Al?
Good news, of course, Mark Carrier was fined for that hit last week, and
he was suspended for a game.
Right. Yeah, and in fact, the fine was the 1-week suspension, which cost him about $28,000. The crowd booing the decision to punt. And Schrader is able to down it at the 1-yard line after the Landetta boo.
Down pass out.
Well, we've seen everything but to this point.
You talk about insult to injury.
And they start from the 1 with a 27-point lead. And they'll give themselves some breathing room. It's a 4-yard gain here for Robert Smith. The receivers tonight for Minnesota, so much made of their weapons, adding Moss to Carter and Reed. And that's a pretty good little rundown.
190 receivers. Wow. It's interesting that their strategy was to do that because Fritz Shermer and his defensive secondary, they like to play aggressive. They like to get up into people's faces. They don't leave their safeties back deep a lot of the times. So, if you can protect, you can throw the ball up and make plays like the Vikings have tonight. It's going to be a long night for that secondary.
2nd and 6. And Robert Smith up to the 10-yard line, setting up a 3rd and 1. I was thinking back to last year, gents, when the Packers lost, and then Mike Holmgren decided he was going to give them part of the bye week off before a big Monday night game at New England.
He gave them the entire
week, right? And it sort of rejuvenated them. Now he has a much different situation, I think, here. because, among other things, they have a bye week, but then they have a Thursday night game. So they actually play in 10 more days at Detroit.
I think what will happen is they'll go in tomorrow, they'll get chewed out, they'll practice a little bit, and then they'll have to come back on Friday.
3rd down and 1. And that's caught up at the 17 by Chris Carter for a first down. It's a funky kind of schedule for Green Bay. They're off until the 15th at Detroit. Then they're off the following Sunday and don't play again until the 25th. So in effect, they're going to play only one game over the next 19 days.
Which is probably, they need to get healthy. I have a few guys nicked, but that last play, Dan, you see it. I mean, it looks so simple, right?
Nice execution.
Yeah, but Chris Carter goes down and picks the ball off the ground. I mean, it's, you know, these are the type of receivers they have.
Here's the schedule: Baltimore, and then San Francisco comes in here on November 1st. Then we see Green Bay at Pittsburgh on Monday night, November 9th.
They'll be looking forward to November 22nd in Minnesota, though, I can tell you that.
Smith. Tackled by Hollandquist.
You know, Dan, you've had a number of coaches through the years, and every coach is a little bit different, but I would think that Dennis Green, while he's probably quite impressed with his team right now, he feels good about where they are, he even has to kind of put a lid on them right now because, you know, we're only really 1/4 of the way through the season.
And hasn't that always struck you, though, about Dennis, that he doesn't seem to be that mercurial guy that goes up and down that roller coaster? He's got a plan. He's pretty steady about it. He doesn't get overly upset when they lose, and he doesn't seem to tap dance off a field when they win either.
And he is, as they would say, one tough hombre as Smith carries the ball. Dennis has been through more personal travails and on and off the field stuff in Minnesota in 6 years, and yet he has survived and survived brilliantly. And I asked him last night, I said, what was the worst time for you? And he's had a pretty turbulent 6 years, and he said that whole Lou Holtz thing. Remember, they had 10 different owners, and a couple of them apparently went to Holtz, who quits at Notre Dame, and the indication is that Holtz is going to get Dennis's job in Minnesota. He said that was the bottom.
Well, that has to be. I mean, how could you take your team to the playoffs and in the middle of a season have to listen to that? I mean, it's disconcerting not only for the coach, but it's got to be disconcerting for the players, too, who believe in him.
3rd and 5. And that's knocked down by Reggie White.
Some people put on an air of self-confidence because they know they have to. If they're in a leadership position, they don't want anybody to see them crack. With Dennis Green, I don't think anybody who knows him thinks that's the case. His self-confidence is very, very real, and it goes to the core of his being. Dennis Green loves Dennis Green and could care less what anybody else thinks about it. He is one confident man.
He even loves the 65 pounds he's lost. Derek Mays will run back the punt. This is the first punt tonight for Minnesota off the foot of Berger. And Mays brings it back to the 36-yard line.
I'm surprised Berger wasn't a little stiff.
Yeah, wait, he's been
all night?
Well, he's been kicking off. Mays a little shaken. Reminder, after the game, you can stay tuned to ABC for late local news or other programming. We're over to ESPN for a post-game show.
Man, I hope that wasn't a live chicken.
This is Doug Peterson in the game, and the new quarterback hits Antonio Freeman. So Brett Favre giving the rest of the night off.
Hard to argue with that decision to get him out of the game.
You know, but knowing Brett the way I know him, and I'd be in the same situation many times, you don't ever want to come off that field, and you don't ever want to come off that field without having something positive happen for you. And the problem is now is he's got to feel this way until their next game, which is a long way away.
Peterson from the 36. And the ex-Miami Dolphin throws, and that's almost intercepted at the 20-yard line by Jimmy Hitchcock. Well, Brett Favre had gotten off to a great start this season, 10 touchdown passes in his first 4 games, but the Viking defense has risen to the occasion.
Pressure.
3 interceptions, 2 of them by Griffith. And that defense, combined with Randy Moss and Randall Cunningham and Robert Smith and Chris Carter and Jake Reed, And it's been a near perfect night for the Vikings. A juggled and incomplete Tyrone Davis, the intended receiver.
That last interception by Griffith was the way that a deep safety goes after a ball that's thrown on the sideline. Now, we didn't see that on the other side of the field. The safeties weren't getting over there. At that time, Griffith made it on that one interception. He made a really nice break on the football, and that's the way big play defensive backs have to react.
And it was an adjustment for them, Boomer, because in the game last week against Chicago, they weren't getting over there.
Absolutely.
And so they got chastised, I'm sure, this week, but they responded. Good for them.
3rd and 10. Peterson has to duck away and then guns it to the sideline and is caught there by Schrader, who gets rammed out of bounds, short of the first down by 2.
This is... You can see right here, this is the interception by Griffith. Brett tries to look him off, and Griffith knows where the ball is going, and he goes after the football, and he makes a terrific play. That's a great play by a safety. And Denny Green said at the top of the show, he says, hey, we've been giving up a lot of yards, but we have a lot of interceptions, and to me, an interception's worth 100 yards. You know, you wonder if that's a spin or what is that, you know?
Well, he's always wanted his guys to go for the big play.
Right.
He's always drafted and developed that type of an athlete.
Yep. And here's Henderson. And that big play guy he got was Randy Moss. And we've talked about this throughout the game about Moss. But one reason that Dennis Green was able to draft Randy Moss is Dennis Green at that point really didn't have an owner. He had to run it by. Remember, Tom Clancy had tried to buy the team, couldn't. Red McCombs was still out of the picture. Roger Hedrick was going to be out of the picture. See, he was the only guy that Dennis had to go to. In effect, it was Dennis's house, so to speak. As he put it last night, he said, if I owned the house, I was going to paint it. And he did, and he painted it with Randy Moss.
Nobody closed on it yet, did they?
That's right. It was an escrow. Another interception. It is picked off by Kaylee Wong. And the rookie out of Stanford picks off the 4th Green Bay pass of the night.
Just put the punctuation mark.
Roughing the passer, number 92 defense.
Oop, that'll come back.
Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Well, that's Dwayne Clemens.
Dennis Green, Al, and Boomer was also quick to thank Roger Hedrick for everything that he did, still running the Minnesota Vikings, knowing that it was going to be sold to someone else, and he did his job right up to the very end.
And then left in a most inglorious way, but for a long time, Roger was the cement, because the Vikings, it was such an unwieldy ownership situation. In fact, the league had to get involved and finally say, hey, look, you know, we need a primary owner here.
10 owners just doesn't function very well.
No, especially when 2 of them are trying to get Lou Holtz in the middle of the season. 1st and 10 from the 11. And that's caught inside the 5, and Davis takes it in for a touchdown.
3 minutes and 3 seconds left in the game, and the Packers get their first offensive touchdown.
The interesting thing about this is that when you look at the Lions and the Tampa Bay game, the same situation. They were so far ahead that the team that was behind was throwing the ball. So you wonder, even though Chicago and St. Louis had good games against them, are their statistics inflated because of the 4th quarters of those particular games?
Not a valid point, Boomer.
I'll tell you, they have some big play guys in this team.
Longwell to the point after.
Well, as we all know, it's who's in front at the end of January. But when you looked at the NFC coming into this weekend, I think you looked at the Vikings, you looked at the Packers, and you looked at the 49ers as like the 3 real quality teams in the NFC. Well, the 49ers lose at Buffalo. The Packers get put away here tonight. You'd have to say right now the Minnesota Vikings, as of this moment, clearly the best team in the NFC.
You know, I still think in the end, though, however, Dan, because of how weak the NFC East is, that Dallas is going to be around. You know, they still have too much talent on that football team.
Oh, I don't argue that at all.
I'm
saying the first week of October, Dallas, I don't think, could handle the Vikings.
No, not right now, maybe, but I still believe, looking at the talent on that team, You know, that's a team that, you know, would scare me if I had to play them.
And Troy will be back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you know, Jason Garrett's doing a heck of a job for them. He's 2-1. He had a big game this past week against Washington, but everybody seems to be having a big game against Washington.
But you know something, this has nothing to do with Dallas, but you look at Dallas and you see Michael Irvin. And then, well, who do you see complimenting Michael Irvin? And then you look at this receiving core of the Vikings, and it's almost staggering.
Oh, it is. I don't doubt you.
Onside kick attempt, and the Packers have recovered it at the 45. Scott McGarrahan comes up with the football. So down by 20, 2:59 to play. 2-minute warning. It would be a miracle.
Now the other
things have happened.
The other wonderful receiving core, obviously out in San Francisco.
Yes.
With Owens and Rice and Stokes. Physically very reminiscent of this group here. Of course, they don't have a bad guy chucking the old seed out there either, do they?
Well, you know, every week there's going to be major upsets, or upsets. I would say this is probably a mild upset just because they're playing on Green Bay's field. If this happened in Minnesota, you wouldn't be so surprised. But yesterday, Buffalo beat San Francisco. I mean, no team is going to go undefeated in this league. We all know that. And you know that there's going to be times where you're going to have a really, really rough week as a football player and as a football team. And you just got to get through those. And the teams that battle through those, Dan, as you well know, are the ones that usually are left standing at the end of the year.
How about these are numbers that you just
I've been
never
there.
see.
I've been there. I know what that's all about. You know, you just forget it. You file it. You shake your head. You know, they still have so many more games to go.
Second lowest of his Green Bay career, so
going to take a big file cabinet to file that one. That'll hang with him for a while.
2nd and 10. That's caught at the 50-yard line.
I mean, it's not going to shake his confidence.
No,
He's still good for that, but
he's going to lose some sleep tonight.
He'll be upset.
He is going to definitely lose some sleep tonight. He's going to be replaying this whole game in his head. But I will tell you, I don't know who they playing next, Al.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
On a Thursday night at Detroit.
At Detroit.
On the 15th
you know
of October.
You know, that's going to be a big game because, you know, Detroit plays well at home, especially defensively, as we saw last week. But that's a game where both of these guys, Reggie White and Brett Favre, are going to want to make another statement. Hey, we're back.
3rd and 2, and that's thrown behind Chamorro.
How about San Francisco losing yesterday with 22 penalties? 22 for a team as disciplined as the 49ers.
Especially after the way they looked the first 3 weeks of the season.
How about Bruce Smith, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've been down that road.
When he's healthy.
Oh, man.
I saw him send you to La La Land one time. Boomerville.
No fun. You know, and it's kind of the same situation that Steve found himself in yesterday with the new left tackle. That's on the road in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Caught by Henderson over the middle, and that will be a first down and take us to the 2-minute warning.
Big loss for the 49ers when they lost Fiore.
Ostra boy.
Game winds down. You can take a look at those grim figures for Green Bay. Last time they lost by 20 or more points was 5 years ago to Dallas. Last time here by 20 or more to Chicago in '92. Go back to '83, the last time they allowed this much yardage in the game. And Randall Cunningham tonight has thrown for more yardage against the Green Bay Packers than any opponent in Packer history.
Now there's a guy that will enjoy the bye week.
Guys, remember that game?
There's a guy who won't.
Oh, no. Remember that game Halloween night in '94?
Sure.
Brett Favre had like 80 yards, 85 yards passing that night.
And the entire 15. It rained horizontally.
Oh, it did.
The entire game.
I felt so badly because they were honoring Gale Sayers and Dick Butkus that night at halftime. Yep. And they were out there, and their rain slickers were just at horizontal.
That game was, in a way, a part of the coming of age of Brett Favre. 1st and 10. And this is caught by Travis Jervey for a 9-yard pickup.
We're looking at the faces on the sidelines, the 2 different sidelines. This is what is faced throughout the NFL by every team, every coach, every owner. You know, the euphoria of a big win, something like this, and then the ugliness of a loss and the feeling of disgust and frustration.
I had more of the latter than the former.
Well, so did I, and I don't really miss that. I mean, that's the part as a player that people who never play the game just can't really understand, because every game is so analyzed pre and after.
I had it worse than you, brother. I had 4.
Come on, I was a quarterback. It doesn't get any worse than that.
I had 4 winning seasons in 13 years. 1 500 season. So I was 4-8-1.
Yeah. No, I had some rough years in there too.
No. Wait a minute. Were you worse than that?
They were ready to put me on a scrap heap in 1990.
See, Al was doing better than all of us. He was over in Hawaii doing the Islanders, cracking coconuts on the beach, while we're getting our coconuts cracked in the NFL. You're a wise man, Al.
You're exactly right.
But
and we'll be back there for the Pro Bowl this year on February 7th. Let's get our first promo win for that. Right?
Darn right.
Boomer, that's part of the great thing about being with us this year.
Get our rooms
You're
ready.
guaranteed a trip to the Pro Bowl.
That's right. Yes. Get our rooms ready at the Kahala.
You've got it. The Mandarin Oriental, 2nd down and 5. And that's incomplete.
But I'll be honest with you, Al.
I was using code.
It's nice to get voted to the Pro Bowl, but to have to go and play in it is another thing. Who wants to play in the Pro Bowl in February in 95-degree heat and get there, and get knocked around? Dexter Manley one year sent me into the wall, and I was like, man, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Well, I would never make the playoffs, and I'd have to go play in the Pro Bowl, not having played in a game for 6 weeks. And every year I would have to play across from L.C. Greenwood, who just came from the Super Bowl and is in the greatest shape of his life. And I'm going, well, this is really swell.
They should be playing flag football over there. Then more guys would go.
3rd and 5. Whoa. Henderson, you can hear that one.
Boy, Robert Griffith, he came up and brought a load. Look at that.
He's talking over William Henderson. He's the one that got knocked down, wasn't he?
No, Griffith came up and gave a great shot. He may have got knocked down.
But William Henderson was still running.
He came up and hit him really. Okay, let's
watch this.
Let's watch.
Yeah. All right, bang. All right, who's on the ground? Griffith. So now he's going to get up and go talk stuff to him.
That's the way this league works.
That's unbelievable. Yes.
There's a guy who's had a big night, John Randall. Talking about Griffith, number 1. Randall always seems to have a pretty big night. And there's a man who's had a huge night.
I don't know what he's saying, but whatever he's saying, he should be taking a bow right now.
Randall, you've been entertaining us for years and years and years. And I know one thing, Al. I'll never forget the night that he went over when he got undercut by Carl Banks, got back up and threw a touchdown pass. One of the best plays I ever saw.
At one point, he was the ultimate weapon. He was referred to. Incomplete. I think what Randall was saying to the camera was, I am never again going into the granite kitchen counter reconditioning business.
Well, why not?
I'm done.
That's an honorable profession.
Boy, there's no question, but he's happy to be back. And a little Randall package for you. That's Jake Reed. And that got Minnesota in front. Randy Moss adjusting, splitting the defenders, taking it in, and for Mr. Cunningham, a monster night. 442 yards for the 2nd week in a row, 4 touchdown passes. And now Peterson going for the end zone, and he has another touchdown to Bill Schrader.
Well, this is one of those when they'll look at the box scores at the end of the year. And this is one of those games won't be nearly as close as it looks like.
And this is one of those quarters that just makes the stats look awful. So when you start analyzing things and you start looking at them, and you wonder where a lot of the yards and points come from. I mean, this is the 3rd game that's been in a blowout situation for them. It's a nice throw by Peterson, though.
Peterson's led them to 2 touchdowns, so I guess he's their new starter, huh? Who's going to break it to Brett?
Yeah, no quarterback controversy in Minnesota. Just one here in Green Bay, right?
Yeah. You know what was interesting about what Denny Green said yesterday? He talked about how he makes all his players know what their roles are on this football team. And I guess that's why he was so strong in his statement that he said that when Brad Johnson comes back, he'll be our quarterback because Randall knows his role. We talked about roles. And I guess if it's up front and everybody understands it, then, you know, it heads the controversy off at the pass a little bit.
Well, I just don't think you can take a guy like Brad Johnson, who you're paying him the kind of money you're paying him, the way he's played.
Hey, he's played terrific. I don't discount that. I mean, the Vikings are very fortunate to have two players that play that position that can put up numbers like this.
It's not happening everywhere.
But, you know, sooner or later, you know, it doesn't matter what you're paying anybody. I mean, ultimately, they got to perform. And if another guy is performing at such a high level, you know what I mean? I just, coaches and players, you have to live week by week. You can't look at 10 years down the road because you don't know what this, you might not even be there if you're a coach.
Another onside kick, but this time it's Minnesota. That's Chris Walsh, who played for Dennis Green when Dennis was coaching at Stanford and has ridden the trail with him.
Did you ever get hurt and your backup was playing pretty well?
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened when you came back?
Oh, you know, then there's pressure. There's a lot of pressure on you because the fans, you know, they know what they see or they think they know what they see. And if you put Brad Johnson in there and there's a little bit of faltering going on and it's not really moving, oh, then immediately the fans want the guy that was in there that was moving the football or playing well. So it's, hey.
But then they've got what they already know they have, a guy who can come off the bench and lead the team.
This guy's a good quarterback right there, Brad Johnson. So hey, it's a situation that I guess any coach would love to have as long as your team is winning.
Yeah, wait till Brad finds out you want him to stay on the bench for a minute.
Oh, I'm
never
going down
to tell him right now. We're going down to tell him right now.
Yeah, you would too.
Leslie, go over and tell Brad what Boomer just said.
Is Leslie still here? I think she left.
Leslie's in the salon.
But seriously, I mean, and I'm not saying that necessarily that it's going to be this way for the next 3 or 4 weeks, but given on tonight's performance, I mean, this is.
Oh, I know.
I mean, there've been a lot of great quarterback performances thus far, but nothing like this.
I'll bet you Denny hopes he has that problem.
The only unbeaten team in the NFC, and they've come into Lambeau Field and handed Green Bay a defeat for the first time in Green Bay since September 3rd, 1995. 25 regular season games and 4 postseason games, and the Vikings have come in